Something remarkable has just happened in Washington. A group of 23 senior Republicans, including 3 sitting committee chairs, have formally stated that Donald Trump should no longer serve as the leader of their party. This was not based on anonymous tips or private conversations. It came in the form of a signed letter delivered to Republican National Committee headquarters at 11:47 p.m. last night, calling for an emergency leadership vote. When members of the same party take action like this late at night, it signals that something very serious has occurred. So what led to this dramatic move? According to multiple reports, an audio recording surfaced on January 12th from a private meeting with donors in which Trump allegedly discussed using the Justice Department to target Republican lawmakers who did not support his challenges related to the 2024 election. This goes beyond ordinary political disputes or internal disagreements. It suggests a deep fracture within the party happening in real time. When committee chairs openly break with a former president from their own party, it reflects an extraordinary level of concern. Tensions within the Republican Party have been building for months. These include Trump's continued criticism of party members who questioned his election claims, his lack of support for certain GOP candidates, and ongoing conflicts with Senate leadership over legislative priorities. But matters reportedly escalated after the recording from the January 8th fundraiser in Palm Beach was shared with news organizations. Sources say the recording includes discussion of using federal agencies to investigate Republicans who certified the 2020 election results. This was not framed as policy disagreement, but as possible use of government authority against political opponents within the same party. When senior Republican lawmakers heard the recording during an emergency conference call on January 12th, many reportedly felt it crossed a line that could not be ignored. Public breaks with a former president over internal party matters are extremely rare, and usually occur only when lawmakers believe institutional norms are at risk. According to multiple sources, a group of 23 Republicans, including 15 representatives and 8 senators, met privately that day. During the meeting, Senator James Thornton of Nebraska, who chairs the Senate Ethics Committee, reportedly said that staying silent would amount to complicity in harming the party. Representative Diana Mercer of Ohio, ranking member on the Judiciary Committee, reportedly described the recording as a direct threat to any Republican who exercises independent judgment. After several hours of discussion, the group drafted a letter demanding an emergency RNC vote on party leadership. The letter states that the alleged behavior represents a fundamental betrayal of Republican principles and threatens the party's long-term stability. Reporters who reviewed the letter say its language is unusually direct, accusing Trump of pressuring loyal Republicans with threats of investigation, demanding personal loyalty over institutional loyalty, and treating the party as a personal vehicle rather than a coalition of shared values. According to people familiar with the call, even some of Trump's strongest supporters in Congress reacted with visible concern. One longtime ally reportedly said that while he had defended Trump through many controversies, he could not defend threats against fellow lawmakers. When figures who have stood by him through impeachments and legal cases begin to withdraw support, it suggests that the material they heard was deeply troubling. This is not the first time Republicans have debated distancing themselves from Trump. After January 6th, several senators publicly criticized his conduct, and for a brief period it appeared the party might break away. That moment passed as polling showed strong base support, and party leaders chose unity. Similar dynamics followed the classified documents case in 2023, when concerns were voiced privately, but the party ultimately framed the investigation as politically motivated. In each instance, political survival and voter loyalty kept the coalition together. What appears different now is that the alleged threats were directed at Republicans themselves. According to analysts who have reviewed descriptions of the recording, the conversation reportedly included references to specific members, districts, and possible investigations, as well as discussion of timing tied to future election cycles. If accurate, that raises questions not only about political norms, but about potential legal exposure, since using law enforcement threats for political leverage could fall under coercion or obstruction statutes. Legal scholars have noted that while political rhetoric is often aggressive, Discussing federal investigations as tools to enforce loyalty crosses a significant line. Former prosecutors have stated that threatening investigations to compel political behavior may meet legal definitions of criminal pressure, depending on the precise language used. Politically, the effects could be substantial. Although the RNC is not required to act on the letter, the fact that senior party figures signed it gives others political cover to speak out. Some Republican lawmakers are reportedly reconsidering their public positions and privately discussing whether to join the call for leadership review. Campaign strategists are concerned about the impact on competitive districts, where independent voters often decide outcomes. Polling conducted after reports of the recording indicated that a majority of independents view threats against members of Congress as disqualifying for leadership. There are also financial consequences. Some donors who attended the fundraiser where the recording was allegedly made have reportedly asked for explanations and paused future contributions. Fundraisers and political committees are reassessing how closely they want to align with Trump-backed candidates, while the situation remains unresolved. Looking ahead, this episode could reshape future presidential politics within the party. Potential 2028 candidates will likely be asked whether they support the lawmakers who signed the letter or stand with Trump. That divide may become a defining issue in future primary contests. At its core, this controversy raises broader questions about democratic governance. Congressional independence is essential to representative government. Lawmakers are expected to vote based on their judgment and their constituents' interests without fear of retaliation through law enforcement. If political figures can credibly threaten investigations to enforce loyalty, that principle is undermined. Inside party leadership, reports describe intense disagreement about how to respond. Some officials argue that the party must defend Trump and portray the situation as politically motivated. Others believe ignoring the allegations risks long-term damage to the party's credibility and internal trust. State party organizations have reportedly received mixed guidance, with some encouraged to defend Trump and others advised to remain neutral until more facts emerge. Trump responded on social media by calling the letter a betrayal and accusing the signatories of working against him. He criticized individual lawmakers by name and said they would face opposition from voters. Legal analysts noted that the response focused more on attacking critics than addressing the specific allegations, which some interpret as reinforcing the seriousness of the situation. What is unfolding now is not simply another political dispute. It is a test of whether party institutions can place limits on leadership behavior when those limits conflict with electoral loyalty. More Republicans are reportedly reviewing the recording and considering whether to support the call for an emergency vote. Party officials are examining whether procedural rules allow for such a vote and what its consequences would be. 23 lawmakers have already taken a significant political risk by challenging a dominant figure within their own party. Voters and party members are now watching to see whether additional leaders will step forward or whether the party will once again choose cohesion over confrontation. What happens next could shape not only the party's leadership, but also how political accountability functions within it going forward.